So I'm Bethany Campbell. I am the FAME coordinator and success coach here at Wallace State. I work specifically with our FAME students who are pursuing degrees in our mechatronics department. And I also have with me on the call today, Christina Holmes, who is our work-based learning coordinator, and I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina Holmes. So like Bethany said, I'm the apprenticeship and work-based learning coordinator for Wallace State. I work with any of our students on campus who are interested in doing apprenticeships, whether that be registered or non-registered, including FAME, Mercedes Tech Co-op, internships, job shadowing, part-time and full-time job placement, just a variety of different types of work-based learning.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. So we have done several of these sessions, and I think, those of us that are kind of in the field can tell students all day long how important work-based learning can be. But I think that hearing it from students who are experiencing and doing that themselves is one of the best ways for them to kind of get some perspective about why it's important. So today we have several of our students from Wallace State, and they are all participating in different types of work-based learning. And so I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves and ask them to tell you where they're from, how many semesters they have completed so far at Wallace, what program they're in, and then what type of work-based learning that they're doing. So we will start with Miss Haley.
Well, my name's Haley Self-Tumlin. I'm from Warrior, Alabama. I completed 9 semesters here at Wallace. I'm currently in my last semester at the Building Construction Technology program, and I finished the Engineering Technology program in December of 2019.
Wonderful. Davis?
My name is Davis Faulkner. My personal safety command is to always try out equipment after locking and tagging it out. I am a first-year student from the FAME program.
Thank you, Davis. And Rick?
My name is Rick Wilkerson. I'm with the Mercedes Tech program. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. This will be my 3rd semester.
And Olivia?
Hey, I am Olivia Easton. I am from Hackneyville, Alabama, and this will be my 4th semester at Wallace, and I'm currently in the respiratory program, and I'm go around and I do clinicals at different hospitals.
Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to try and keep that order that we just went in, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started with the fun questions. So first off, how and why did you choose your career field? Haley?
I chose my career field because my father's worked in construction basically his entire career. He started out in drafting and then moved up into management, and now he's a general contractor. So I worked for him when I was 17 up until the job that I have now, and I grew up around it, the industry. Therefore, I decided that I would enjoy working in construction.
What about you, Davis?
I actually learned it from my Career Tech Education Center in Shelby County, and pursued it ever since.
Rick?
I had a bachelor's degree from UAB, and I just wasn't that happy working in that field. So once I saw a thing in the newspaper for the Mercedes Tech program, it really interested me, and I applied for it.
Olivia?
Well, I spent a lot of time in the hospital visiting my mother. So I saw a lot of different roles that people played in the hospital, not just doctors and nurses. And so, but respiratory really caught my eye, and I just decided that I want to do that.
So next up, how and why did you choose Wallace State to pursue this field? Haley?
The main reason I chose Wallace State is because it's one of the closest colleges to my home. It's the closest community college, and a lot of my friends that I was friends with in high school decided to attend there as well. So it seemed like a good choice.
Davis?
I chose this Wallace State just because they just pushed this program, FAME program, and they seem to really put some passion into it. So I headed up here.
All right, wonderful. What about you, Rick?
I know Wallace State's one of the 3 colleges that offers this program, and after talking to all of them, Jamie Blackman just seemed to be really interested in it, and she was always there to answer questions for me, so that's why I chose Wallace.
And what about you, Olivia?
Yeah, I just typed in respiratory programs in Alabama, and Wallace was one of the first places to pop up, and the campus looked really nice, and it was big, and I was like, this sounds good, and I was a little familiar with the Coleman area, so that's why.
I love that. A Google search brought you to us.
Yes.
Fantastic. Olivia is actually one of our work studies here as well. So we definitely appreciate her and what she does for the college. So, okay, next up, I would like for y'all to tell me what company you're currently working at, or I know some of you maybe have worked at multiple ones for the work-based learning. So tell us a little bit about that. Haley?
I currently work for 5R Design. I started here at the end of September, and it's a commercial architectural firm, and I do like 30 bill and modeling.
Very cool. What about you, Davis?
I work at Jack Daniels Cooperage. I started here in July.
Okay, and can you tell us what Jack Daniel Cooperage does?
We actually make barrels so you can put whiskey in it.
Okay. Rick?
I work down at Mercedes-Benz at the manufacturing plant down in Vance.
Awesome. And Olivia?
I just go to a bunch of different hospitals and stay there for a couple weeks. So I'm go everywhere representing Wallace at the different hospitals.
Okay. Is it just in Coleman County or some of the other surrounding area?
I've been as far as Erlanger in Tennessee and as close as Coleman Regional. So like all over like Huntsville, UAB, St. Vincent's, and then like Decatur, Morgan. Yeah, so everywhere.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. So next up, have your experiences in work-based learning been beneficial to you? And if so, how? Haley?
Yes, they've been very beneficial. It definitely made me feel more confident that I made the right choice for my career path because I've enjoyed it so much. And I feel like I have learned an incredible amount just over the past almost 2 months that I've been here. So it definitely made me feel more secure with the choice I made. And also it solidified that I wanted to definitely concentrate on construction and architecture because I wasn't sure when I was doing engineering tech if exactly which part I wanted to go into, but I was leaning towards construction, and it definitely let me know that that was the right choice to go down that road.
Davis, you're up to answer.
You can learn a lot of stuff out here that you can't learn anywhere else. There's machines out here that only here and maybe one other place has, and having great coworkers with this work-based learning really helps strengthen my knowledge.
Okay, Rick, it's your turn now.
All right, so at Mercedes, I think it really helps out doing the internship there because it gives you a better idea of what you actually do on like the lower levels coming in. So like after you finish the program, if they move you to team lead to be like that leader on part of that assembly line, you have a better idea of like what the workers are doing or need to get done. Or if you're moving on to repair, you have a better idea of how the car is actually built, so how to take it back apart to get to whatever you need to fix.
Okay, Olivia?
I think that it's been extremely beneficial being able to like work and go to school at the same time and get that clinical practice in. It's like hospitals are a lot different than what you see on TV or even when you go visit. It's like something you have to experience firsthand. And I think it helps weed a lot of people out. Like if they realize, okay, this is not what I expected to be doing or to be seeing, and you get to, experience that so you know if that path is right for you.
Okay, so since let's go ahead and move on to the next question then. This is a little bit more in depth to what we were just talking about. So far, what have you learned from your experiences in work-based learning? And can you provide us specific knowledge and skill sets that you've developed while you've been in the workplace?
Main skill that I've learned is how to operate a building information modeling system called Revit. It's a program in which you can 3D model buildings. That's been something that I've really focused a lot on, and they've taught me a lot here how to use that specific program. I've also learned a lot more about architectural drafting standards and how to create sets of drawings and a lot of different codes and standards that I'm still learning, but I have learned a huge amount of information on that just in the past 2 months, which has been really impressive. And I've learned a lot more in depth about the process of building and for building renovations and how each subcontractor contributes to the work that's being done and the order in which it happens. I've also learned a lot about communicating with other owners, colleagues, and superiors. I've become more confident to communicate my ideas, and if I have questions about things, and how to be professional in the workplace. And I've seen improvements in my time management skills and completing tasks on a deadline, which is really important in the construction industry.
Very good. Very good. Okay, what about you, Davis?
I've learned that any mistakes you make, don't let it bring you down. Just let it be a lesson for you for your next task at hand, and don't be scared to jump back in that same mistake, fix it, and move on. And then one skill that I've really developed is a keen eye for troubleshooting. And I think it's really important to just know what you're doing.
Okay, Rick, what about you?
All right, I think that through being on the assembly line and everything like that, learning how to like pay attention to certain processes or certain SOPs to see if there's like a different way to do things, and bringing that up to your team leader, your group leader on the line, because we can always improve like how quickly it can get put together, or issues you might be having with things.
What about you, Olivia?
I've learned time management and paying more attention to detail, because that's a big thing. Is like just because your monitor says one thing, your patient may be doing something completely different. Just because it says they're okay doesn't mean that they're okay. So just like walking into the room and like if there's a problem, being able to step back and like figure out what the problem is, like not just focus on one or two specific things. I've also learned a lot of patience from dealing with patients and coping skills, because there's a lot of times that things happen that you don't expect to see, and just learning how to deal with that, and having a support system. The hospital's a great place to have just people to support you, and they support each other, and it's pretty great. But I've also learned stuff like clinical skills, like proper CPR technique, and like how to operate a mechanical ventilator, which I never thought that I would be able to do. It just looks so overwhelming, but thankfully with all the clinical practice, you definitely catch on. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's all great things to hear. I'm glad that you're having those experiences in the workplace. So, if we were talking to other students who are considering work-based learning, how have you adjusted to being a working student? Do you have any suggestions to the students who might be on the call about how to be a good student and a good employee at the same time?
It was a little bit of a difficult adjustment for me because I was taking classes full-time and working full-time at the same time. I would tell anyone that's going to start out that it's definitely worth it, that it's a great learning experience, both educationally and work-based, which is what makes it the best, but also it does become hard to fit everything in at times. So you do have to prioritize your work in school above most anything else during this time, and it won't last like this forever. You will finish your education and things will get easier to handle, but I would say to anyone to delegate time of each day, even weeks in advance, and know your deadlines weeks in advance, because sometimes different work deadlines will line up with school deadlines, and that's when things become the most stressful. And so if you go ahead and get your school stuff done before your work deadlines, or when you might have to work on something extra, then it'll help alleviate that stress a lot. And be prepared if you sign on to work-based learning, especially full-time where you're taking classes full-time, that you may have to turn friends down or certain events or certain hobbies or pastimes, because you do need to take time to sleep so that you can focus on your job and be successful through the place that you're working.
Great advice, Haley. What about you, Davis? What would you pass on to students considering doing something like this?
Since I've only got a few months under my belt for this program so far, what I've learned is everything gets stressful. Just breathe a couple of times, get through it. And some advice I'd give to some of these students coming in is just, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. Just go through it.
What about you, Rick?
I would say anytime they ask you to volunteer for something or do something extra, always say yes. Like whenever Mercedes asked me to work, extra shifts on Saturdays or Sundays, I always did it. You network with more people in the facility that way. You get to learn about some other different job types, and they usually end up even like bumping up your pay some for doing that.
What about you, Olivia?
I think that just not like pushing yourself too hard is something that you have to keep in mind, that I've had to keep in mind. But like, it's great to have a job, but ultimately it's like you have this job because of school. So you got to keep your grades up. School's always got to come first in the end. So I think it's just all about balance, in my opinion.
Great. Well, our next question is, would you recommend work-based learning to other students, and why?
I would definitely recommend it to other students because it does help that the company I work for is a really incredible company, and it's a positive environment with really amazing, encouraging coworkers. But I feel like any company that you work for, you benefit from learning while working in that whatever career path you're going into, because even if I want to stay with this company for a long time, but even if you decide, well, I don't want to stay with this company forever, when you graduate college and you start applying for other jobs and other positions, that work on your resume that you did in college would be invaluable versus work that might have been outside of your career path. I know that when I applied for this job, the work that I did with my father in the construction industry, that was one of the biggest things that popped out to them, because I was familiar with the industry. So if you're familiar with the industry before you even graduate college, that gives you a leg up among a lot of other graduates who might not have worked in the field yet. They only have the college experience. So I would tell anybody, I recommend it 100%, and it will be very valuable to the employer that you have now if you decide to stay with them for a long time, or future employers as well.
Great. All right. What about you, Davis?
I actually highly recommend this program for anybody doing it, just because it's a good way to get experience and easy school.
What about you, Rick?
Well, I would recommend it for anyone just so they can get an idea of what actually goes on and the job they're looking forward to doing.
Olivia?
Definitely recommend it, because I've just learned so many hands-on skills from clinical that I wouldn't have learned in lab or in class, just due to us not really having the equipment. And like recently, because of COVID, we haven't been able to have a lot of lab time. So and also you can like build relationships that'll help further your career, because like especially in the hospital, it's like each clinical site is like a job interview, and so you got to make a name for yourself. And people remember your name, and so they tell other people at different hospitals, that's a good student, you need to hire them. So it helps you get your name out there.
Very good. Well, that actually wraps up all the questions right now that we had for our panelists. But is there anybody else who's on this call that has a question for anyone who's shared their experience, or for Bethany or myself? Now would be a time to ask questions.
I was going to tell Rick that I definitely agree with the idea of doing anything that they may ask you to do as additional or staying late or working extra, because that shows them how dedicated you are to your job in your field, and it can give you a great recommendation as well that you give 102%. So I do agree with that. And I was going to ask Rick, just out of curiosity, what his original bachelor's degree was and how different it was from his degree at Wallace.
So my original degree was in health information management from UAB. So
Wow.
I interned at like St. Vincent's and everything like that, and just always been into cars. Always, kind of look forward to working on things with my hands and stuff like that. So I just wanted to switch to something else.
Oh, that's cool. Like I said, I was just curious when you had said that, because I find those kind of stories really interesting about career changes and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know that, Bethany and I, we work here at Wallace State in the Center for Career and Workforce Development. And, the different types of work-based learning that are represented on this call, we have Haley, who is participating in what we technically call an internship. We have Rick, who's doing the Mercedes Tech Co-op. Davis, who is a part of our FAME program. We also have registered apprentices on our campus. Olivia is participating in a health science program where she's able to do clinicals and field work. And she is also participating in the Wallace State Work Study program. That's how she's a work study in our department. And so there's tons of opportunities like that. And I would encourage anybody who's even considering one of those to reach out to myself, Christina Holmes, or to Bethany Campbell. And our email addresses are just our first and last name. So like mine is christina.holmes@wallacestate.edu. Bethany's is bethany.campbell@wallacestate.edu. And you can always reach out to us with questions. If you're not sure which program is the right fit, if you need to visit campus and check out some of these programs, we can connect you with students who are already doing work-based learning so that you can ask more questions and see what it's really like. And even if you need to just connect with an employer, if there's a certain employer out there that you think, man, I really want to go work at that place, reach out to us and we'll try our best to help set up some type of job shadow opportunity so that you can learn more. Because we do want everybody to choose a career that they're passionate about, and not just something that, they have a friend who's doing it and so that's why they're signing up for it. I want it to be something that you're going to enjoy and that really matches up to your personal attributes and your own talents. Because when you select a career, this is something that you're going to be doing, more than likely 40 plus hours a week for the rest of your life. So you want it to be something that you really enjoy and have a passion for. So if anybody doesn't have any final questions, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. And a big thanks to our work-based learning students today. Thank you all for sharing your story. And I hope everybody has a great afternoon.
Thank y'all for being so helpful and always being there for us.
No problem.
Yes, thank y'all. Y'all have a good Thanksgiving.